So my video, The Evangelical Rapist, is creeping towards 10,000 views. And by the time this video shows, it will have gone beyond 10,000 views. And in the comments section, one of the comments told me to research the Quiverfull movement. And it's taken me some months, but I've done it. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to The Raging Atheist. I'm your boy Nakasuchi, and today we're going to talk about the Quiverfull movement. Well, what is the Quiverfull movement? I had never heard of it before. And basically what it is a cult inside of a cult. And I think that's quite dangerous. If you have a cult that's not quite as extreme for enough people that they need to create another cult inside of that cult, well, then you have an issue. Basically what Quiverfull is a movement by evangelicals taking a passage from the Bible like they usually do, Psalms 127 verse 5, and they take this passage and they use it to propagate what they believe, how they feel about society. And they don't think that society is a very good thing. In fact, they think society is a thing of the devil and that they need to protect their families from this devil. But not only that, they need to have as many children as they can in order to raise an army of the Lord to combat this demonic society. And we're going to go through it. And I'm going to tell you why I think that this is a cult within a cult. But first, I want you to get a look at what a Quiverfull family looks like. And they always try to portray themselves as this wholesome, clean image of what a Christian family should look like. Some perfect image of what a family should look like. Clean-cut little children dressed modestly. A woman subservient to the man, and a man speaking for the family. And they try to make it all clean and neat, and that's what they do. But it's far from clean and neat, and we have seen that, and I showed you that in my video, The Evangelical Rapist, how far from clean and neat these family dynamics can be. And there's something wrong with wanting to impregnate your wife over and over and over again to create an army for the Lord. But first, meet the Plath family. Meet Quiverfull. They look like a great family, all nice, and they're singing this bluegrass shit that I've never listened to in a million years, but hey, if that's their thing, that's their thing. And they look like a great family and all. And what could be wrong with this? What could be wrong with this? Dude has a lot of kids. Dude is kind of weird, and you're gonna see that as we go through this video. But they look like a wholesome family, and why wouldn't anybody want to have a successful family like this? And that's pretty much the whole point of them putting out this propaganda, is so more people will want this perfect life that they are going to project upon YouTube. But I don't believe none of it.
Hi, I'm Barry Plath, father of 9 children, husband of 1 beautiful wife here. I do travel demand forecasting for a consulting firm that works for Florida's Turnpike. You know, when I'm not working, I'm at home with the family and with the dog doing...
Golly gee, huckleberries, when I'm not at work, I'm at home with the family, and look how perfect we are. I got all these kids, and my wife looks out for me every night. Come on, man. Ain't no family that big, that perfect. And this is obviously a propaganda campaign so they can promote the music that they're forcing their children to make. That they've instilled and programmed and brainwashed their children to want to make. And we'll get into all of that because that's what these Quiverfull families do. They start the programming really, really young. And right now, before you meet a few of the older kids, I want you to pay special attention to what they're saying, how they're saying it, and the look in their eyes as they're saying it. It's my opinion, and I'm just an outsider looking in, probably finding what I want to see, but it is my opinion that these fucking kids are terrified.
Mommy keeps me in order.
My mom and dad are the best parents that are living on the earth.
My favorite thing about my parents is that they put us to work.
They've always, provided everything for all of us.
Now, I'm sorry, but that sounds exactly like something that these parents scripted and forced their children to say. And in this biblical patriarchy that we're going to talk about, this biblical patriarchy that is a very important part of the Quiver Full movement, the man is everything. And then the wife, and then the children. And the children have to obey no matter what. And they're trained from a very young age to obey no matter what.
There is a couple, Michael and Debbie Pearl. They wrote a book called Train Up Your Child. And that was like second to the Bible in our household.
A mother needs to understand if she takes away her husband's authority, even by a face, even by making a pitiful look appeal to her husband, she is taking away all authority from that child's life. If that child is going to have authority, mother, you got to let that man be the authority.
Punish him with the rod severely. That's what you do to screamers around here. And if you have fun, it'll be a lot easier training. Feel like a winner. You get 5 licks for being mean. You get 5 more for lying. You're going to see who's lying. I'm going to get this rod. If he screams too hard with the first 5, gets hysterical, wait. A little psychological terror is sometimes more effective than the pain. Thumping him on the head, you're worried about that? Give me another question. We talked about that. Carry him home and train him. Give me another one. So I give him 5 more. I said, now get up. Still got a bad attitude. Get up. I'm going to say, you're still crying. I'm going to give you something to cry about.
It's all about breaking the child's will and molding them into who you think God wants them to be.
Now this woman, I'm not going to give you her name. She's put her name out there. I just don't want to propagate her name. I don't think it's important, but she's a person that has come out of this Quiver Full movement. She was a child raised into this Quiver Full movement, and she is speaking out against it. And she's telling you about how it works, and she's going to tell you why it's a cult, and she's going to tell you why it's dangerous and how terrified she was as a child. And I highly encourage you guys to find this interview and watch it in full. In fact, if I can remember, I will try to remember to leave a link in the description below so you can watch this full interview. I'll make sure I do that. So I encourage you to watch this full interview. But right there, this is disgusting. This is child abuse. And as we go through this video, you're going to find out that this child abuse starts when they're babies. And it's meant to brainwash and imprint these children to be fundamentalist, extreme Christians, fighting against secular society that America has become. And these are going to be your dead hard Christians fighting against things like LGBT rights, transgender issues. They're going to be dead set against that because they're going to believe blatantly what the Bible says. They're going to take the Bible at face value, which is very dangerous for a secular society, very dangerous for a religion. When that happens in Islam, we get ISIS. When that happens in Christianity, we get the KKK. This is something different. This is something weird. This is something that they are trying to infiltrate the highest echelons of power to make the Bible law and the law the Bible.
A baby is placed on a blanket, and parents will try to entice them off the blanket by, waving keys, favorite toy, whatever. And if that child sets, one toe off the edge of that blanket, yeah. And that trains the kid, don't leave this blanket. Don't you dare. And it's that mindset that colors everything.
Now they call this blanket training, but I call this torture, and this torture is going to last throughout the rest of these children's lives. They're going to go through psychological and physical abuse for the rest of their lives, and it's going to affect them. It's going to affect them. This is going to draw men and women that want to be abusive to their children. This is going to give them spiritual reasons to do so, religious reasons to do so, and justification to be more cruel than they would have been if there had been a check on them like there is in a normal society. This is child abuse. This should not be tolerated. This is not of freedom granted you with your freedom of religion to be able to abuse children, to be able to brainwash children. That should not be allowed.
Especially for girls, I think, until ownership is passed from father to, you know, her husband, and she's handed over. It's just you're a commodity. You are another little soldier for Christ who has been molded by the parents to follow orders.
You know what really bothers me about this whole ideology is it really seems that women are seen as less than, that they aren't as important. In fact, it promotes that they aren't as important as the man. In this biblical patriarchy that's set up through the Quiver Full Movement, there's Christ, then there's the husband right beneath Christ, then there's the wife, and her duty is solely to produce children and to raise those children. And then there are the children. So the wife and the children, their duty is to obey the man as if he is Christ himself.
The same control, it happens when you're older, because the only form of discipline that they know is just keep hitting until you break that kid's will. Just keep it going as long as you can. Prove to them that you're bigger and stronger than them is, I think it's a direct quote from Michael Pearl in his book, Train Up a Child. Just show them that you're bigger and stronger.
Please, Christians, please tell me how this is not child abuse, how this is not torture, how this is not brainwashing. Please tell me that. Mad Love, please again tell me how the passages that the Cult of Dusty put in his video aren't propagating this kind of lifestyle, aren't propagating that women are nothing more than vessels to breed more soldiers for Christ. Tell me how this doesn't propagate, how it's an even playing field between men and women in your religion when you have a whole sect, a whole cult within your cult, beating the shit out of their women if they say one thing out of line. If they look at their husbands in the wrong way, in some circumstances, they get the shit beat out of them. How is that not exactly what Cult of Dusty was saying in his video? And I know what you're saying. You're like, Nakasuchi, you know, this is pretty crazy, but what makes this a cult? A cult is usually started by one man. That's why I call Christianity a cult, because Christianity was started by one man, Jesus Christ, or Peter, whoever you prefer giving credit to for starting the religion, the cult. So what makes this a cult? This seems like it's a philosophy just adopted by evangelicals on their own, right?
Exactly. But yes, please, what is that? What is that institute you're talking about?
The Institute of Basic Life Principles.
Yeah.
Was founded by Bill Gothard in the 70s. And back then he worked with, I believe, inner city youth. And so it was formerly called the Institute of Basic Youth Conflicts. And he just had this moment and thought, I know how to fix everybody's life. And all you need are these 7 basic principles. And he based an organization on that. He based a homeschool curriculum on that. He based his seminars on that.
Now, Bill Gothard was born in 1934. He graduated with a master's in 1961 in Christian education. He founded the organization in 1961 called Campus Teens, and they changed that name until in 1974 to the Institute of Basic Youth Conflicts, changed it again in 1989 to the Institute of Basic Life Principles. And he uses this institute to propagate this Quiver Full movement. And he has his own curriculum. You see, if you're part of this movement, your children aren't allowed to go to school where they might actually learn some useful education. Your children are required to follow Bill Gothard's curriculum of homeschooling. You see, you have to segregate your children away from the secular society that is so dangerous, so they don't know what their options are, and they only know this one life, and they can continue. So by the time that they're old enough to actually function their brains at a full capacity, they're so brainwashed, they're so mentally warped from the years upon years of torture that they have endured, that they cannot make those rational choices, that they will always choose what their brainwashing tells them to choose. So Bill Gothard gave seminars throughout the 70s, very popular seminars, sometimes up to 10,000 people would be in the crowd, and he's talking to a Christian base who is changing back in the 70s. You have to realize that this is directly after the hippie movement, and a very progressive liberal movement for the first time really took hold of this country, and Christianity was scared of that. So people like Bill Gothard went out and they promoted hardcore Christian values to combat that, and these seminars were very popular, and he used these seminars to funnel people into his institute so he can start brainwashing and create wealth and power for himself, and that's what it was always about.
And the way Bill Gothard proposed doing that is memorizing huge chunks of the Bible. Like, I used to have chapters, whole books of the Bible memorized.
Really?
And, yes, and we were supposed to just think on them and think on them and think on them.
That is a very important destructive cult control method that is used not just in Bill Gothard's
I'm sure.
Methodology.
Yeah.
That was very much part of Scientology.
And every great cult has to have its public figures. I mean, Christianity has Jesus, Islam has Muhammad, Scientology has Tom Cruise and John Travolta. So Quiverfull, they have to have its people too.
Seen by the public as wholesome and old school, if not a little strange, the Duggars made a cottage industry of themselves just by being who they are, having tons of babies, not watching TV, and homeschooling their litter of kids.
The Duggards are the epitome of a Quiverfull family. And we've all seen how just messed up this family is. I mean, and we're going to get into it a little bit. But the Duggars have always said that they don't subscribe to Bill Gothard and all of that, yet they've sent their children to these seminars. They attend these seminars, and they are the faces of this movement. So of course they subscribe to Bill Gothard. Gothard, I can't even remember how to say his name anymore because it's an unimportant name. He's a douchebag. Of course, they're like best friends with the dude. This is their movement. They are the faces of it, and they pushed this Quiverfull movement out onto the masses, and TLC allowed them to do it, just like TLC allowed the Willis family to do it. And it seems like TLC is putting a lot of families on TV that have some sexual deviancy involved with them because they subscribe to these Christian extreme values regarding women and sex.
Josh is still hanging around. In 2015, Josh Duggar confessed to sexually molesting 5 girls when he was a teenager, including at least 2 of his sisters. Ultimately, it was that behavior that led to the cancellation of his family's TV show and harmed the Duggar reputation forever. Josh stepped down from his job with the Family Research Council, and with wife Anna Duggar about to give birth to their 4th child, TLC ended the program after 7 years on the air, before quickly giving the family an equally visible spin-off. Adding to that already horrible scandal, hacked accounts at Ashley Madison, a website specifically for people who want to cheat on their spouses, revealed Josh to be a client. He admitted to cheating on Anna and to a porn addiction, which led to a 7-month stint at a spiritual rehab center. And yet, his parents still encouraged Josh to be a public part of the family, according to their own social media profiles.
Josh Duggar pled guilty to 5 counts of sexual assault on a minor, pedophilia. 2 of these young girls were his sisters. And then, after that controversy, the hack for Ashley Madison happens, and it gets found out that he was cheating on his wife the whole time. Do you think that his wife will leave him? No, she's been brainwashed. She will never leave him, no matter what he does. Do you think this family will ostracize Josh Duggar? No, that's not what they do. They keep their family close. They protect their own. And it doesn't matter if one of them's a monster. All that matters is he's a good soldier for Christ. And what was Josh Duggar doing when he was caught in this scandal? Well, he was in a position of high political power. He was influencing policy as a lobbyist, I believe. I could be wrong, but it was a position of power. Influencing policy, because that's what Quiverfull promotes its children do, is get into these positions that are going to influence either policy or the narrative. So you see a lot of them raising their boys to go into politics or positions of power and their girls to be childbearers so they can raise more boys, raise more soldiers of Christ. Or you see a lot of these families, as we saw in my video, The Evangelical Rapist, that train from a very young age their children to be singers and musicians because they know that music can reach a lot of people. Music can set the narrative. And you see this time and time and time again with these people. But it's not only the children that are being affected by this. You see, these women are equally brainwashed and equally culpable in the crimes of the fathers because they're adults. And even though they're brainwashed, they should be able to make these decisions now. They should be able to break this brainwashing as the woman did earlier in the video. They should be speaking out against this. They should be telling their husbands, hell no, you ain't beating me, and hell no, you ain't beating these kids. And some of them do. Some of them go to their pastors. And guess what their pastors tell them? That they need to be more subservient. They need to be better wives. That their husbands are the head of the household.
How do you handle a father who will not take his part in discipline? When he does discipline, it's out of anger.
Make love to him. If your husband is an angry man, make love. Get rid of his frustration. Make him happy. Because it's the man who determines the course of the house.
You see, to these men, women are nothing more than reproductive tools. They're nothing more than their looks or how many children that they can bear them. They're nothing more than blank slates to be dominated, domineered, and brainwashed. And God forbid, God forbid, that they even look at them wrong. Because the woman would be lucky if it's just a smack across the face. And too oftentimes these women end up dead because it went too far. These men are not narcissists. They're insane. They need absolute control over human beings. You see, I have a daughter who's 8 years old. And though I know as a father it's my job to guide her, she is not mine. She is her own human being. It's not up to me to decide what she's going to do with her life. I can only guide her in that. Try to offer the best example that I can. And I need to do a better job about that. I'm not going to deny I'm not perfect. But this mentality that another human being is yours, that you can control everything about them, is just wrong. And it's another example of what makes this a cult, is this type of mentality. That you must subscribe to this or else. And the or else is eternal damnation. These people are seriously afraid that the devil has taken over society. And that if they stray from this path, if they don't believe what they've been told, if they have doubt at all, they're gonna burn forever. And they've been programmed this through systematic torture since they were 3 months old, a baby on that blanket, who got smacked if they moved.
We're supposed to be fruitful and multiply. We're supposed to be having lots of children according to the Bible. Psalm 127 says this, Lo, children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. As arrows are in the hand of a mighty man, so are children of the youth. Happy is the man that hath his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but they shall speak with the enemies in the gate. God says children are a blessing. We should want to have our quiver full of them. It's a joy and a blessing and a good thing to have children.
And that's what makes these archaic verses so dangerous. And that's why I have to combat mad love, a person that I get along with, when he says something that I can't get behind, when he ignores the truth of the situation, of what's happening right now in the name of his God. These verses, if taken seriously, if taken literally, are dangerous and have been proven to be dangerous since their inception, since the minute they were written down. Throughout history, time and time again. And as a history buff, I know this. I love history. I research it incessantly. Always have loved history. Excelled at it in school. When will we learn from our mistakes?
So when you teach this and you say, hey, be fruitful, multiply, increase abundantly, exceedingly, have children, don't use birth control. You don't need to be Onan. You don't need to murder your own children. You don't need to sit there and abstain from a physical relationship from your spouse during the best parts of the month.
Right there, this douchebag gives himself away. Gives himself away. Let's think about what he just said. Why abstain yourself from sex during the best part of the month? This man is saying that the menstrual cycle is the best time to have sex with a woman, even though it's very uncomfortable for most women. And there's blood involved. Like, why do you want blood all over your shit? Right? I mean, if the mood takes you and it's that time of the month, I'm not gonna say I've never done it, but it's not the best. It's not the best time of the month. I mean, it's something that I really don't want to do, but I'm gonna do it because I kind of need to, you know, like, or because she's like, hey, you know, it's not that bad. Let's get it on. It's not the best time of the month to do so. Like that's nasty, yo. That's nasty. Ladies, I implore you, you are better than this. You don't deserve this treatment. You are more than a tool to bear children. You are more than a tool to raise those children to be pawns of a God that doesn't exist. It doesn't, and if he does exist, it doesn't give a shit about what you're doing. That would laugh at what you're doing. Or be horrified at what you're doing. You're better than that. But you're an adult. You are consenting to this abuse, to this torture. And you're allowing it upon your children, if not doing it yourself. And most of you do.
As a Christian, you know, I understand I have an enemy. The Bible calls him the prince of the power of the air, and he is the one who doesn't like the family. You know, Jesus said, a house divided cannot stand. We really want to stand in unity in the Lord. And that's been a theme in our family, is to draw upon what God has done for us and is doing for us, and we know will continue to do for us, and that is unify us via His Spirit.
There is no devil walking through the streets of society, manipulating every little thing. There is no demons that are going to possess your child if she wears a skirt that shows her knees, or if she watches TV, or if she listens to a song that has a steady drum beat, because that's what these fuckers believe. They believe that any song that has a steady drum beat is African voodoo music and will summon demons into you for listening to it. They honestly believe this. They take the Bible literally, and it's 2017. And this is the evangelical base that fuels power for the GOP, this one of two major political parties in one of the most powerful countries in the world. They're fueling policy right now that is allowing rampant gun sales, which is allowing rampant mass shootings. They're fueling policy right now that is going to take away abortion rights and health care for women across this nation. They're fueling policy right now that's going to take away rights from gay people and trans people simply for who they love or who they are. And the rational people, they watch these people on TV with 19, 20, 21 kids, and they laugh at the freak show. But then the crazy people, the people that are right on the fringe of being there anyway, they watch these TV shows and they think, yeah, that's the right step. And they're reproducing more than we are. If we allow this to continue, if we don't expose this nonsense for the fictional bullshit it is, they're gonna win. They already are winning. Donald Trump is in the White House because of this shit. Wake up. This Quiverfull movement needs to be destroyed. It needs to be exposed fully. I had never heard of it before. I had heard of the stories, the families having all these kids, and I've railed against the evangelical community for promoting this lifestyle, but I've never heard of the Quiverfull movement before. And probably a lot of you haven't either. This is insanity. This is child abuse. This is child torture. This is spousal abuse, domestic violence. This is brainwashing. This is a cult among you. And all they have to say is, I'm a Christian. And you allow it. As always, I'm your boy Nakasuchi, and this is The Raging Atheist. If you like my videos, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, share me on your social media, and please comment in the comment section below. I'll see you soon.